Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about mutation, a new operation type. In previous videos, we used query operation type. You might have seen like how we can query our schema, how we can query types, and everything we see here, like we saw how we can query these fields. Apart from using query like this, we can also use mutation. Now, the first question is why we use mutation. So as word explains everything like mutation is used for mutating data, like for example, creating, updating, deleting, and these kind of operations will be performed with the help of mutation. All right. Now, how we define mutation in schema is something like we will be creating one operation type here with writing mutation starts with caps. Yeah, this way. What we are going to do here is like we'll be defining one new type here, and that will be user. I will be using couple of properties for the user. First one is ID, second one is username, third one is email and role. So I will create one enum for the role. If you are not aware about enum, you can watch my previous video. There I have explained what is enum and how we can use enum. I'm going to copy this role and I will paste it at the same place where we have created one other enum, that is product status. I'll define one more enum here for role. In this enum, I'm going to add two fields, two values, that is user and admin. All right. As you see, like these are highlighted in red, kind of these are special syntax now. So what we are going to do here is like we'll be writing one mutation, and it should return one user. Why I'm not keeping it mandatory? The reason behind that is, let's say when we are passing some username and that already exists in our database. In that case, it will not return user. So for validation, we can see like in future videos, but here for now, like I will not be using exclamation sign. Let's talk about the parameters that we need to pass to create users. So the first parameter that we'll be needing here is like username, and it will be string. The second parameter we'll be needing here is like email, that will also be a string. And the third one is role. As we see, we have decided here, as we have defined here role as enum type for the role. So what I'm going to do is like here is like I will just add role. Also, like I don't want to make this mandatory, although even like we have defined here mandatory, but I don't want to make the parameter mandatory here. So what we can do here is like we can just use equal to provide the default value, and that will be user. As I said, like these are special syntax now, so you can directly use it here. All right. I'll just quickly go and run this server so that I can check if everything is working fine in the schema. Now the server is running, means everything is working fine in schema. All the syntaxes are correct. I'll go in index. I'll create one more property called mutation. And what I will do is like I will use this create user. I'll use like the first parameter was the parent, but I don't need parent, so I will put underscore here. Second parameter will be arguments. So I will restructure it. I'll use username, email, and role. This needs to be an arrow function, or you can use the normal function as well, but I will be using arrow function here. Now with the help of these things, I can create one new user. Before that, I will need user in DB. So I'm going to create one file here, users.js. I'm going to create one variable. Let's create one ID. When we will be creating user, we'll be needing one ID. So I will use maths.random 0. I don't want the decimal part here. Now this will be a number in string representation. What I can do is like I can create one more variable for new user. I will write ID, username, email, role. Now I will need the user's data here, and I can push this new user, and also I can return new user since this create user mutation requires one user as output. As we have done the changes, let's verify it. Before verifying it, I would like to add one more query here. In case like if you want to query the users, what we can do is like we can use users here, and this will be an array, so I can write user here. I'll keep it mandatory since if user is there, it should return user, it should not return null. Now if we have created this users property on query, then I will have to resolve it as well. So I'm going it under the query. I'll create a new line. I will add the users property. As we know, like to resolve any property or any field, we'll have to use a function. What I can do here is like I can just write users data so that I can return all the users data. I'll have to remove this semicolon from here. Now let's try this out. I'll create two tabs, the one for the query and another for the mutation. Now if I try to query users, what we are going to get here is like we are getting empty users. All right. Now what we can do here is like we'll create one new user in mutation. So if you see here is like if I go back and say like there's a mutation and I can create a new user. Okay. Now we can add these two fields. So these are variables. If you are not aware about the variables, please watch my previous videos that I have explained variables in details. I can select some of the properties of users, for example, ID, role, username, and email as well. Let's try to execute this and see if that is coming. Means there's a user created in our database. Now what we can do is like we can query it and see if we are getting this field or not. We are also able to fetch the email. That means we have successfully done one mutation. In this video, we show like how we can do mutation and how we can query one mutation as well. So that's it from this video. In next video, we'll talk about input type. Why we need input type is like we don't want to define multiple arguments here. Instead of that, we can use one single object. So that is a special kind of type. So there we use input as type. So we'll talk about it in next video. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching my videos. Thank you.